75% of women fall for divorce after being their partner's mothers instead of romantic lovers. So, first thing off the bat, when you're coming up with a headline for your advertorials, like you gotta research your your customers, right? Your prospects. And this headline right here is actually pretty good. 75% of women, so they're being very specific. When you're writing an advertorial, you want it to be like very believable, and also like you have to like pique their interest. And I recently reread, like just literally an hour or two ago, Scientific Advertising by Cloud Hopkins, which is a copywriter. And basically, he was talking about in the book, which I reread, like being specific is really, really important, okay? And I have to emphasize that extra because even people know this when they're writing headlines, and sometimes you forget, or it's easy to forget, but specificity just makes it a lot better, okay? So instead of saying most women file for divorce, saying 75% of women file for divorce, that's a lot better. Now, 75% of women file for divorce. That's a pretty high number, but I will say all I know is in the US it's like 50% of divorces. So divorces are very common, and especially with, I guess, it looks like they're targeting women because they're talking about women fall for divorce, how to save or die in marriage, being their partner's mother. So if they're targeting women, then I guess they kind of like, they would probably believe this, right? 75% of women, 50%, if they're going through a divorce, they probably think it's more common after being their partner's mother. This is definitely relatable. Look, okay, I'm not married, but I already read this. Like, I can tell there's women out there that feel like they're their partner's mothers, okay? Now, let me see. Feel like I'm my husband's mother, Reddit. Right? Easily go on Reddit. Basically, you got to do your research. Okay, look, 350 uploads. I already see this. Help, I'm married to a child. I feel like my husband's mom, maid slash lover. This is a very common opinion. And right here, like, this is just calling them out. This is calling your audience out. Just straight up. You don't have to have like a really long headline. You don't have to have something like super sophisticated. You can just keep it simple, right? They have this thing that gets their interest, and they have this where it instantly calls out whoever they're targeting. Looks like they're targeting women who are looking to divorce. Here, and then instantly, here's a fix. Here are 5 steps you can take today to save your dying marriage before it's too late. So obviously they added scarcity here, and they added here are 5 steps. So they wrote this by Guy B, as seen on, okay, they have these trust things. Watching American wives slowly lose themselves in the marriage has been one of the most heartbreaking patterns I've witnessed since moving from France to the United States. Okay, so instantly this first sentence is actually pretty good. Okay, so it's widely known that the US divorce rate, let's see, highest divorce rate in the world. Let's do a bit of research right here. Oh, Maldives. Browless, the United States. United States is one of the highest divorces in the world. I would say United States is like more well known probably because of the amount of people. World large countries. Has to be Russia, China, Brazil, and the United States. Well, I'm guessing they're running in the United States, but look, watching American wives slowly lose themselves in their marriages. This first sentence instantly, like, when I read a lot of advertorials, I just see like the clear story that they write, where it just doesn't come off as like genuine. It comes off as like a paid testimonial, okay? People can read off of just reading one sentence, 2 sentences from your copy, and they can tell that you just made up a story, or that story doesn't sound real. It doesn't sound believable, right? When you're framing your competitors, for example, like you had let's say you're talking about hair loss and you're talking about finasteride, where you tried finasteride for 3 months and then all of a sudden your hair started falling out, you started losing your sexual drive and everything, right? It frames it as like it just doesn't come off genuine. Most advertorials that are out on Meta, even ones that make money, okay, they're just not genuine, and they're just missing out on all the profit that you can make if you just made an advertorial like how an advertorial should be and how an advertisement should be. And an advertisement should not feel like an advertisement, okay? You got to make sure that when someone's reading this, they feel like they're reading an article that's giving them the information that they want because they clicked off your ad. These people, okay, this is different than sales in person, where if you're trying to sell someone to buy something, let's say you're a sales associate at a retail store, but when you're selling, like, let's say you're on Meta and all these people that are reading your advertorial come off a click on the ad, these people are interested in whatever the ad said. Now, if the ad is talking about divorce, these people are already interested in divorce. They're just looking for information. Even if it's cold traffic, these people are already interested, okay? They're not just some complete random person. So that's why, you don't always need to have like some sort of story to try and convince them. A lot of times it's pretty easy to mess up stories, just make it not so believable. But really, like, this first sentence, it just comes off as like an article, okay? See, watching American wives slowly lose themselves in their marriage has been one of the most heartbreaking patterns I've witnessed since moving from France to the United States. They're being specific. This guy's moving from France to the United States. This sounds like a journalist wrote it, which is what you're trying to go for, okay? Those early days of those relationships, full of equal partnership, mutual respect, feeling truly loved, cherished by the husband, seem like distant memories, right? So this is actually really good copy, okay? The first few sentences, they're talking about relationships and how they started. They're recalling the memories of the reader. Now I see them managing every household task, carrying the mental load for entire families, and choosing silence over demanding better treatment due to fear of being too difficult to handle. The vibrant, confident woman wants now removing their days. So they're kind of blaming, they're not blaming the women themselves. They're taking the blame off the women and just reassuring them. Usually American women, they're just kind of how they handle their husbands, right? They're making it like they're not alone. And this is like really when you're writing an advertorial, okay, when you date back time to like years and years ago, where they used to write like literally letters, like mail letters. They would literally write mail letters back then. They would use it's the same principles, right? You want them to continue reading one line after one line and after one line. You see, when you write an advertorial or a sales page, you gotta like think of your prospect, okay? The person that the exact specific person they're reading it. Of course, when you're making an advertorial, you gotta have a specific like target, like ICP, okay? Like a customer profile, like an exact persona of who you're trying to sell to. And for this advertorial, it looks like they're selling to American women who are married, who feel like their marriage is dying, who want to save it, and that have experienced love that has died over time. So that's more specific, and being more specific is actually better, especially for advertorials, because a lot of advertorials I see, they're like so broad and they just don't resonate with the people nearly enough, because advertorials are really strong and they're meant to increase your AOV, okay? When you have an advertorial, you should be educating the customer, telling them what they need to hear and what they want to hear to get them to purchase your product, but also with at a higher AOV, so you can scale a lot harder. And so far, this advertorial is pulling that off, what makes it even more devastating. They're talking about the exact problems, what they have, and giving examples, right? Exact examples: therapy, communication books, date nights. 200 letters from wives across America, right? It's not some sort of made up story that's like obviously made up. The root cause of American problems. 5-step French marriage reset system. Okay, so I guess this is their kind of mechanism right here, their 5-step marriage reset system, which is they're coming like off of a French marriage angle, which, let's see, France marriage divorce rate. Roughly, 45%. That's pretty high, right? High or low? High, okay. So, I mean, you can't really see on the top here. It says, it says French way info, which they're talking about the French marriage reset system, which it looks like the 5 steps: stop being the good girl, learn about partners, stop being everyone's therapist, make him actually see what he's been doing to you, test if he'll actually fight for you if when he has no excuses. All of these are actually like I'm not a woman, but I can tell like these points would definitely resonate with women, because a lot of women feel like they're the good girl. A lot of them might feel like, oh, maybe I just don't know what partnership look like. Okay, a lot of women actually second guess themselves. Okay, women are very what's the word, they're very insecure, I guess, where they're like, maybe I don't know this, right? That's in the back of their minds. Stop being everyone's therapist and get your voice back. Make it actually see what you've been doing, right? These are some solid points. The next step: how to actually and realistically save your marriage. Beyond this, almost difficult to break the girl conditioning on your own. To make this transformation possible, I created the French marriage reset. Oh, looks like they're not running anymore. But I mean, it looks like it's an advertorial for like, they have a broken link. So it's like an ebook or something, right? And then they got their sales page here. I'm curious how much they're charging for this. So their sales page looks good. Their order page, you save $220. It's only $29. So I mean, this is a pretty good page, if I say so myself, right? They gave the first steps. They gave like actual information, and they gave value. Okay, and then they said, here's the next step and how to actually save it. If I was writing this, let's see how many words this is. How many words? Because this is a really big issue. I mean, $29. I feel like you could get a lot more from women who feel like they want to break their marriage. I mean, save their marriage. I would probably 2,000 words. Okay. So, I mean, for this, definitely, I feel like the biggest thing for this brand right here, like their images, they could be a bit better. I mean, their stock images, they actually kind of work, because like it just looks like some regular article. But basically, okay, they got some testimonials here. They got their FAQ. They definitely need to charge more, okay? Now, I don't know if they're running upsells. They probably are. I mean, their page is actually, their copy is pretty good, right? This is their sales page, the French way reset. They have a specific solution, which is the French way reset. And, that's very interesting. And I'm sure a lot of people who divorce haven't heard. Let's see. Well, when you're like in a sophisticated market, You can sell like kind of new ideas just to reframe things. Like you can just call it the French way reset, like these guys, but it just be like just some regular advice. Because if you're selling to like divorced people, they have to, or to anyone in general, they have to believe that they can actually save their marriage. So when you're in like a sophisticated market and there's people who have these problems, and that there's like solutions, what solutions are there? I mean, there's counseling, right? They mentioned counseling. So they gotta believe that they can actually save it themselves. And you can do that by, I mean, what they did is their mechanism, which is the French way. But French way, I literally seen France is like divorce rate is high, so I'm not sure. Lowest divorce rate country. Wait, how many years has marriage going on for? Marriage has been going on for centuries, okay? You can literally come up with an angle where there's like ancient central marriage, and then you go over like people were married for longer periods of time back then by using these tips or whatever when you're selling like an ebook or maybe even a product. India. I mean, you could literally come up with an Indian way reset, right? What I would change is, I mean, French. I just did one Google search. It said France is one of the highest divorce rates, 45%. Come on. US is 50. So, US divorce rate, right? 50%. So, I mean, but then again, like a lot of women, they probably aren't even gonna search this. They're just gonna see, okay, I'm gonna try it. It's only $29. But really, when you're coming up with copy for your advertorials, you can use stuff like this for inspiration. You don't have to stick to a typical story structure, because back then I used to think that stories would trump everything. Like you just come up with a story, you come up with like, oh, I tried this, you know, and then it didn't work. I tried all these solutions, they didn't work, and then I was introduced by a doctor for this new product, and then I tried it for one, day 30, day 90, my life changed. And here, try it now. Here's a discount. You have option 1, option 2, and then it brings you to like a sales page, then an order page or just a product page, and then checkout, and then boom. That's just a typical advertorial, that you see on e-com stores that run paid ads. But really, what makes a lot of money is catering everything in your page towards the customer. And here, it seems like there's step 1, step 2, step 3, there are 5 steps. It kind of like a listicle advertorial hybrid, it actually seems really nice. Now, I don't know how it's performing, but something like this would definitely perform really well. They have really solid copy. And you can kind of implement this with your own brands. You don't have to stick to the typical structure, but you can make it a bit different like theirs. Make sure that you're copying these guys' principles, right? They're being specific in what they say, so it has a lot more impact, right? They said, filled with equal partnership, mutual respect, feeling truly loved and cherished by their husbands. These are literally exact things the prospect of someone buying this product experience and want to experience and everything, right? People underestimate research that much now, especially with AI. And I'll tell you, there's no point in having an advertorial with subpar research if, it's not going to make as much money as you can. What really is a lot better is quality and doing the research that you need. And nowadays, you can really speed up research a lot, right? You can literally have AI do deep research for you. You can have GPT do research. You can have Gemini do research, right? You can feed that into cloud and everything works. But I would also add manual research, right? So if you're writing advertorials using AI, which you should, because you should at least get a lot of the copy and ideas with AI. Just you need to have like a system if you're writing multiple advertorials where you can just kind of take ideas and just finish it a lot quicker. But really, when I'm making an advertorial, I want to have a lot of research that AI has done, okay? Like, you don't have to research, for hours and hours and days and weeks. You can just have like a 50-page report done specifically by, let's say, ChatGPT. But I would also manually research. You can manually research on Reddit. Reddit is where you're going to see a lot of people talking about their experiences and people giving their opinions. And it's just a perfect way to get people's ideas. You can use other websites too, like Quora or Amazon reviews. Just generally what people are saying in your market, right? You want to specifically learn what your exact prospect, right? You want to have like a specific description of them so you know who you're talking to, and that your advertorial is specifically built for them. And that's how you're going to get a high converting advertorial, right? Instead of just going broad, which completely broad is like, you can kind of broaden your advertorial if you're just testing it out and then just focus on the headline, because headline is really, really important. And then you can kind of niche down when you're testing out advertorials, like making them profitable. Basically, all of these things, all of these concepts with the copy and the images too are very important to making a high converting advertorial, okay? And everything that I said here you can implement for your own brand. If you're making an advertorial, right, it's not that difficult. You just need to be like, you need to think of it like a human in your prospect's eyes, okay? Not your eyes, because in my eyes, right, I'm not going through a divorce. I haven't been married, so I don't know what exactly it is to be a woman who's on the brink of divorce, right? It's probably devastating, because a lot of women, their dreams are literally to get married. They want to get married, they want to have a family, this and that. And this is like a really big issue. And in general, for this advertorial, personally, I would work on the AOV. Like, I'm not too sure if they're running upsells, but even $30 for, they wrote all of this copy. Might as well sell more, because they're in their emotions, okay? Marriage is a big thing. If you can save your marriage for like $1,000, $10,000, would you do it? Because marriage is like years and years and years and years. And you can just emphasize that in like an advertorial or a story, So that's basically it. You can take these guys, copy their kind of copy, which is like, what they did well is, I like their specificity and the genuine feeling that you get when reading these words, right? These actually feel genuine. It feels like a real story from this person named Guy B. It feels like an actual article that someone wrote. And that's what you want to get. And that's how you're going to be converting a lot of people. And if you need an advertorial built for you, I build advertorials for e-com brands, mainly that are running paid ads on Meta. So if that sounds like your brand and you need an advertorial, just message me on X. It's in the description. That's basically it.